Hi, everybody. Just a thought today, a quick thought about worry. I know that worry is a kind of a part of life right now during this epidemic, pandemic, whatever it is. I know we're all stuck at home. I know we all think about jobs and figuring out what we're doing, and do we stay home, do we go, whatever. There's just a lot of worries that come about. No one is immune from that. Nobody's immune from worry. I find it cool that when I think about certain things, and you pray about these things, I pray about these things, that God just brings certain things to mind. I opened up a devotional book I haven't opened up in probably over a year and just looked up for the devotion for that day. And it spoke right to that need, that worry, that all our needs are met, that those that depend upon us are taken care of. And it was basically, it's God saying, I've got this. I've got this. Trust in me. And the verse that it was talking about is we're thinking about money. Money is one of those things that's in the news right now. But the verse that it came up, for the love of money, it's 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. And there's nothing wrong with money. It's that love of money. It's that where it becomes our focus, and it comes between us and God, and it becomes more important than God. Nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with being excellent at your job. There's nothing wrong with trying to advance. None of that. It is that love of it that can get us in trouble. But if you go back a few verses, you have this wonderful thought there. In verse 6, it says, But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. One great thing, and I've talked about Sunday, I talked about looking for rainbows. One of these things that I see, one of these rainbows that I see, and seeing God's hand, is coming back to a belief and a thought. Well, not a belief. The belief's always been there. But the world in general coming back to a belief in God and depending upon God. When we can take care of ourselves and we feel very content and comfortable, I fall in this a lot. Now, I've got this. I don't need help. We've got this taken care of. Instead of acknowledging, thank you, God, you're the reason why I have this taken care of. I don't have to worry because of God. If you go back to Matthew chapter 6, it's one of my, I know I say this a lot, but it is one of my favorite passages in the Bible. It's one of those go-to things for me. Matthew chapter 6, if you read between verses 25 and the end of the chapter, verse 34. Verse 34 itself says, Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. The whole section talks about worry and worrying about where things are going to come from and just the daily necessities of life. We do need to think about those. We do need to be prepared. We do need to understand that there are needs. We know that. But there's also an acknowledgement that as we walk hand in hand with God, He's got this. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He clothes the flowers with greater splendor than Solomon ever saw. He feeds the birds. How much more does He care for you? Verse 33, But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. We seek after God first. We look to God first. And all the rest of it, I can tell you, really will be taken care of. God tells us to be excellent, to do our best, to work in everything that we do as if we're working for Him, as if we're doing it for His glory, because we are. We are His subjects. We are His children, and we work for Him. And so everything you do excellently. Do it the best you can. Seek after Him, and everything else is going to fall into place if we're doing our best every day, holding our hand in the hand of God. So today, if you're worried, just look to Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. Do not worry about tomorrow. We know who holds tomorrow. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Take care of today. Do what you need to today. Walk hand in hand in God today. Just a thought for you guys. I know, just in case you're worried. And if you're not, hey, it's a nice little thought anyway. But God's got this. He's going to take care of you. Love you guys.